what we do, so they know why we're talking to them.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Pam Barkley. I'm the Director of Educational Training at Moving Traditions, and I am here with Rabbi Daniel Brenner,
Hi.
who is going to answer some important questions about our B Mitzvah program that we are launching this year nationally. So, thank you. So, tell me about the Moving Traditions B Mitzvah program. Like, what's the point of it? Why this program?
Great question. Moving Traditions B'nai Mitzvah is really the first B'nai Mitzvah program that's looking at the social emotional reality for the parents and for the preteens, and thinking about education that meets the parents' needs, education that meets the preteens' needs, and thinking about the conversation that parents and preteens need to have with each other. So basically, if I can just describe the larger picture of what the program is, we have a podcast for parents that interviews experts and writers and rabbis that gets them thinking about, well, what does this mean to become a parent of a teenager? Then we have family education, where parents and preteens listen to each other and are in dialogue and conversation with each other. And then we have preteen education for 6th graders and for 7th graders that is going to be led by educators. And this particular video is for the educators who are leading that part of this wider B'nai Mitzvah program, Moving Traditions B'nai Mitzvah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So you said that there are family sessions and that there are preteen sessions. What's the difference? How would you describe the difference between the two different versions of sessions?
So there's a couple of differences. The first is that the family sessions are constructed in such a way that clergy, rabbis, cantors, education directors can interact with both the parents and the preteens. And also they're constructed in a way so that clergy can speak directly to the parents and the needs of the parents. So during that session, which is typically a 90-minute to 2-hour session, you have parents and preteens together, and then you have them split up, and then you have them together again. So each one of them has that kind of flow. With the preteen sessions, which are 60 minutes, that is designed for the preteens to sort of deepen the conversation with each other and to learn a little bit about their peers' experience. There is a lot of concern about social pressure at this age for 6th graders. We are aware that this is when peers become really central to the life of a preteen. So what we're doing is we're having a parallel conversation to the one that we have in the podcast for parents who are thinking about becoming a parent of a teen. For the preteens, they're asking the question, what does it really mean to become a teen in these sessions? And the themes of the sessions are taking them on a journey asking those questions.
So you said before that the clergy often lead the family sessions. Can clergy also lead these teen sessions?
Clergy could lead the teen sessions if they have the time to do it. And lots of the institutions that we're working with, they have a lot of preteens. So they have lots of different people who are leading these sessions. I think it just really needs a sensitive educator who understands where teens are socially, gets their concerns, gets what's stressing them out, and can get them to reflect on everything they're going through. So that's really what sets this aside from other educational curriculum. If you're teaching something on the Holocaust or on Israel or Hebrew language or Jewish history or Jewish life cycle, all of those things have very clear content, and there's all sorts of wonderful ways to get at that content. Here, the center of the education is the life experience of a 6th grader. And they are trying to fit in, and they are going to parties and trying to figure out who they can talk to and who they're friends with, and they're hearing things from their parents. They have lots of expectations from their parents and expectations from clergy as well. So that's the focus of this work. That's what makes it different than other educational experiences in Jewish life.
Okay, so let's say I'm in and I am a 6th grade or a 7th grade teacher, and I'm going to lead one of these sessions, these preteen sessions. What do I need to know? What do I do? How does this work?
So the number one thing I would say is the curriculum, and everything you need in terms of running this program is online, and Moving Tradition sends every education director a password so they can access it, and if you don't have your password, that's the most important thing to get, is to access the curriculum online. And then once you get to the landing page of the B'nai Mitzvah curriculum, you'll see how it's broken down into 6th grade and 7th grade. And likely your educational director or supervisor is going to give you some guidance about what you're going to be doing. But you'll see that there are the preteen sessions, and each preteen session has a separate page on the website, and it has little buttons for the things that you need to print out, little buttons for any handouts that you may need.
So all my materials are there.
Everything is there on the website, and it's specific to each session. So you're only going to be printing out the sessions that you are doing and printing out the things that you need from that session. And the other piece is that every session has a number of different modalities, and that's really important, educational modalities. 6th graders love to start things out with some movement and some game and play modalities. So that is baked into the curriculum. And there is discussion in every one of the curriculum. So there are different prompts, and they have to either move around the room, or they have to put something in this bag or something in another bag or whatever. But there's a lot of discussion prompts. Some of them use videos and other types of prompts. But basically, the curriculum creates the environment and atmosphere where 6th and 7th graders can really start talking about what's really going on in their lives and reflecting a little bit on the B'nai Mitzvah experiences.
Okay, so you said that there are lots of discussions with prompts. So I've been in rooms with 6th graders or 7th graders or different age kids, and I ask a question and I get met with like deer in the headlight stares, and no one wants to participate, or maybe they don't want to be the first to participate. I don't really know, but what can you suggest to me as the teacher? Like, how do I help them get started with this discussion if I'm getting that like silence in the room? So
that's a great question. First, a lot of the curriculum is designed so you don't have to face that problem. So you know, very typical way, if you even have a very simple agree, disagree to a prompt, a person can, without speaking, react and start a conversation, and you can just comment on what you're seeing. And when I say, I think that today's teenagers have more stress than when my parents grew up. Like, if that's the prompt, you can see if they agree or disagree and say, okay, but what I'm seeing is I see more people are agreeing. Okay, people who are agreeing, turn to somebody else who is agreeing and say, why did you choose agree? And people disagree, do the same. Like, so I think that there are different modalities that we're using that will help you avoid the asking a question and getting no response. That said, I, as an educator who's focused a lot on social emotional learning, I almost never ask a question to the group. I would always say, I'd like to hear from 2 or 3 people about the following question. Or I would say, I want you to think about this question for yourself. I'm not going to ask you to answer it aloud. I just want you to think about this question. And then I would say, you know what? Does anybody want to answer this question aloud? Because I'd love to hear just a couple of responses. Different ways in which you are not forcing them to speak in front of their friends, because they are very concerned about how they're going to be judged by what they say. So those are the critical modalities for, I think, a lot of 6th and 7th grade social emotional learning. Allowing them to think about it. It takes them a while to reflect on a lot of things. They're not going to come up with an answer to a question generally right off the bat. So I think it's important to do that. The other modality that I really like in this work is to give them a choice. So if you ask the same question in 2 different ways, you have given them a choice. So if you say to them, okay, here are 2 questions I want you to think about related to stress and B'nai Mitzvah. One question is, have you ever seen someone get stressed out about a B'nai Mitzvah? The other question is, have you felt any stress about a B'nai Mitzvah? You can choose which one you want to answer. But you're going to answer one of them, but just choose. So immediately they can think, oh, I want to talk about myself, or I don't want to talk about myself.
More likely.
And yes, so giving them the freedom to talk about the emotional reality of stress and B'nai Mitzvah, but not really forcing them in a way that's not comfortable for them. And I think a lot of social emotional learning is giving them agency and empowering them to take the brave step of saying, this is something that I'm thinking about or that I'm feeling, and helping them understand. And really the key to this is empathy, helping them understand, oh, other people are also stressed, and other people are also trying to fit in, and other people are also worried about what people will think or what people would say. So that's really at the heart of this curriculum, because the B'nai Mitzvah really forces someone to be the center of attention. That's one of the themes of the curriculum. But like that's really core is as an educator really understanding like where they are and how nervous they are about their peers and the reactions they're going to get from their peers.
So it sounds like there's a lot of focus on the B'nai Mitzvah pieces, but that you also mentioned about being stressed and what that's about, which obviously teenagers have a lot of stress. So there are pieces that are related to B'nai Mitzvah and pieces that are outside of B'nai Mitzvah?
Well, I think I like to think about it in a little bit different way, which is to say it's all related to B'nai Mitzvah if you think about B'nai Mitzvah as the transition point from going from being a child to a teenager. That is the core of this program. It's about the transition child to teen. What new responsibilities am I asked? What new expectations are on me? What new freedoms do I have? And how do my friends see me differently now that they see me as a teenager instead of seeing me as a child? So all of those things are wrapped up in the transition. And so the things that we're focused on are really about that transition and how it relates to B'nai Mitzvah, specifically in 6th grade, and then just how it relates to life more generally in 7th grade. So in 6th grade, we start off with a session called Growing Up. And the idea is that you are going through this transformation, you're looking back on your childhood for the first time, you're realizing that you're going to have you're going to have a moment of reflecting on your entire life. Your parents will maybe talk about your birth. And you see a photo montage or video montage. Also, this is the time when a lot of 6th graders are saying, oh, I'll never have the first time I rode on a roller coaster, and I'll never have the first time I went to the beach, I'll never have the first time I flew on an airplane, because those things have happened. The firsts have already happened for a lot of firsts. A lot of firsts are still coming, in the future. But they're having that moment of transition away from childhood. So the growing up becomes the first theme. And after we have that theme, which is sort of the bigger picture, we get into more detail about some of the specific challenges of B'nai Mitzvah. So a specific challenge I mentioned before, being the center of attention. All of a sudden, all eyes are upon you, especially if you're an introvert. That's not always
terrifying.
Not always a fun thing. But also just in terms of what kind of party is it going to be, and what are people going to be doing at a party, and how do I think about what the role of a party is. Just thinking about, for the first time, being a host of a party and what comes with being a host of a party, being a guest of a party, what comes with being a guest. So some of the questions that are around the social element of B'nai Mitzvah really come into play here. In the 6th grade, we focus more on them thinking about the celebration and thinking about all the different pieces, dressing up, wearing a special outfit, for some people having a photo shoot, for some, for all the other things that come around it. And then in 7th grade, we focus more on the transition to being a teenager. So we start off with a session called Teen Stuff, and from there we get into posting, and we get into friends and drama with friends, and then finally we end with thinking about what's ahead. And for us as an organization, for Moving Traditions, we think about specifically the challenges that 8th and 9th grade girls have, the challenges that 8th and 9th grade boys have, and the challenges that 8th and 9th graders who are not on the gender binary are experiencing. So we have programs, Rosh Chodesh, Shevet, and Selim, that address all of those questions. But for B'nai Mitzvah, we really focused on a program for everybody who's going through this rite of passage and trying to figure out how to make sense of it.
Terrific. So you said that the 6th grade has a lot very focused within the B'nai Mitzvah, and 7th grade teen stuff and posting and friends, and particularly I guess for the 7th grade piece, then what makes that Jewish? Why is that, once it's not about the Bar Mitzvah or B'nai Mitzvah itself, what makes it Jewish?
So throughout the curriculum, and this is included in the 6th grade curriculum as well, we're using, I would say, texts from the Jewish ethical tradition that are about character, that are about personality, and that are about interpersonal values. So we have taken things that are from Pirkei Avot and from Hasidic sources and from more contemporary Jewish sources, and spiced them into the discussion and the play that we have created in the curriculum. So each theme, each hour, which has a separate theme, has a couple of Jewish texts associated with it. And those Jewish texts give, I think, a good grounding for people to think, okay, wait a second. In this Jewish text, it says that when you are the host of a party, one of your responsibilities when somebody is leaving is to take 3 steps with them towards the door, for example. That's a Hasidic text. So
I don't think I've done that.
Right. Well, we don't always, follow through on our intentions. But just giving them a sense that, oh, Judaism has something to say about friendships. Maimonides talks about 3 different friends and 3 different kinds of friends. And these are conversations that we've been having for a long time that can help guide our own decisions and our own values around friendship. So the Jewish texts are there for the most part to help a preteen to say, I'm not the first person who's had these questions. I'm not the first person to have these conversations. And I do want to figure out my values and how people see me and who I'm going to be in the world. So the Jewish wisdom is kind of embedded into the curriculum. It's not that there's a separate session that's about the Jewish piece of B'nai Mitzvah. It's how do the Jewish pieces speak to the social emotional focus that is exhibited in this curriculum.
Okay. So if I am, whether I'm an educator or a teacher out there or a rabbi or a cantor, and I'm watching this and I want to get involved with this program, what do I do?
So we work with a select group of partners. We can't work with everybody. I wish we could. If we had our staff was 10 times bigger, maybe we could.
Imagine.
But we work with a select group of partners, and you can go on the Moving Traditions website and let us know that you're interested in the program. We have different capacities in different cities, and one of the things that we try to do is we try to have a small enough group of partners so we can really support every partner. And what we found is that the best way to get a curriculum to have an impact on families in particular, but even if you're trying to get the curriculum to have impact only on students, the best way to do so is really to create a relationship and a partnership in which at any moment when an educator is thinking, I'm not really sure how to do this, or I have a particular challenge, they have somebody who they can call, and often we've heard the question before. Or often we say, oh, you have that problem? We know somebody else who has the exact same problem. Let's have you two talk to each other.
Okay.
We do our work in a way that tries to build a community of practice, because what we're seeing already is we now have dozens of partners around the country all working from the same curriculum. So often a community that says, oh, well, we have 60 students in our B'nai Mitzvah year, this is so hard to do, we can say, don't worry. There are 3 or 4 others who also have 60. I mean, we can put you in touch with them, and the same thing is true for a smaller community. Like, they may also have very special concerns. So our role as a national organization working with different partners is to really kind of think about the community of practice and make that a reality.
Thank you very much. This has been very helpful. For anyone out there who is interested, the website he referred to was movingtraditions.org. So go on there, check it out, and contact us if you have any other questions or just want some more information. Thank you so much.
Bye.